All right, people. Gonna do this for round number 2. This is not the same painting. You can see I have a different canvas, and I need to tone the canvas. I don't need to, but I like to because it provides some different colors. So let me get some mineral spirits because they will evaporate pretty quickly, so I can get started on this stuff. All right, so all I'm going to do is I want to take some complementary colors, throw in some blue on the canvas, and a little bit of perylene red. So ultramarine blue, perylene red. And you don't have to have much, but if I just dip my brush in some mineral spirits, put it all over that, I'm just doing a little wash. Now, if I do a direct painting, if I do an indirect painting, meaning if I do multiple layers, I will not tone my canvas with this much in terms of mineral spirits because this thins down the paint so much that it becomes chalky. You no longer have the medium that is in there to be able to use to glue onto it basically works as a glue onto the canvas. So if you take the mineral spirits, you see how it's starting to separate, percolate inside those little valleys. That means there's too much mineral spirits, and I just want to remove a lot of that, and it will dry relatively quickly. But I do want to get a tone down on there so that I am not working with just a white canvas. This is, and I'll just go through the tools really quick. All right, this is oil primed linen, Clausen linen. It's just cut to 9 by 12. It's technically 10 by 13 inches so that I have a little bit of wiggle room. In case composition, I have to change some things a little bit. But for the majority of the part, this is the composition that I'll be working with. And I have various paint brushes. The brush that I just used was a bristle brush because I needed to scrub some of the paint on there. And bristle brushes are really good with throwing paint onto the canvas. I also have a couple of other brushes. Most of the brushes that I'll be using I'll use some bristle. This is a Bristol brush, which is hog hair. It's natural. I don't like the synthetic ones very much. Fan brush. And then I'm also going to use some Langnickel brushes. These are soft mongoose brushes to be able to get some details. And then I have a rosemary brush. This one was pretty expensive. This is the Long Flat Series 279, size 10, to be able to block in some things. I have my still life off to the left there, and it's cut in half. It's ready to go. I might just alter it a little bit more because I don't want to have a cut edge on it. So let me rotate it really quick, and then I'll go over the paint that I'm using. All right. I think that'll work. Okay, so the paints that I'm using, quickly, yellow ochre. This is Natural Pigments yellow ochre. Rublev paints. King blue that I don't remember who the manufacturer is, but King's blue. This is Flack white. It's a flake white mixture, proprietary blend that I have, which is a combination between stack lead and also just standard lead carbonate. And then Naples yellow, cad yellow medium, perylene red from Gamblin. This also is ultramarine blue from Gamblin, transparent oxide yellow, transparent oxide red, and raw umber. So I try to stick with those. I have some colors that are pretty light. I don't use yellow ochre very much, but because I'm working on this painting and there's lots of different yellows, I'm going to use it. The lemon is cut in half, so I'm actually going to start to draw this out first. Lemon's cut in half. I'm going to use a little brush. This is a synthetic opal paintbrush from Trekell. Oh, I also have a medium called black oil. And every time I say black oil, I'm going to say it in the deep voice because I think it makes it better when you say black oil. It's almost like an oil that you'd put in some, I don't know, some contraption that you're really trying to destroy the environment with, maybe? I guess. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to make this, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to construct the lemon out of series of construction lines. And this is the center line for the end of that lemon. And then if I go halfway there, that's the edge. Halfway there's the other edge. I'm going to make this ellipse just a little bit taller. So now hopefully you can see the center point. That's the center of the ellipse. This distance to there needs to be the same as the distance to there. Same with this to that distance. A little bit shorter on this side, which is totally fine. And then I taper this down to there. Oh man, it's amazing how this just works out when you do construction drawing. All right, this other one, the ellipse ends right about there. So if that's my center line, it needs to double. Now, before I commit to this, I want to make sure that the dimensions here are similar to the dimensions there. Man, alive, I love it. Holy guacamole. All right, this axis and that axis. And then just taper the two together. Open that up just a little bit more. And then it comes down like this. And a little bit flatter like that. And there's a little navel bump at the end there. Ta-da! Okay, I just constructed those shapes. I'm going to put in a little bit of a cast shadow here. Same thing with this bottom one. A little bit of a cast shadow there. And then the horizon, or the back of this horizon, is right about there. So now I have drawn in these shapes. Makes it pretty easy. And now I can start to work on my paintings. So for this, I'm going to take it just a step further. I'm going to divide my light shapes from my shadow shapes. This right here goes down and over. There's the shadow shape for that one. This is basically in shadow. And then the shadow shape's already defined for me right here with this part of the lemon. Just making it a little bit more geometric because lemons tend to have these flat shapes that go around the form a little bit. So all of this is in shadow right there. So shadows, shadows, and then everything else is in the lights. All right, now let's get to painting. So if you set this stuff up right, you do your construction correctly, everything else will fall into place. If you work on your drawing and you're like, oh, that's good enough, you're going to have a hard time finessing the shapes a little bit more and constructing them because they'll just look off or they'll look wrong. All right, I'm going to be really direct and figure out what is that value that I want to go for in the lights. I'm going to go with some black white, more black white. I'm also going to take some Naples yellow. When I look at the Naples yellow and the Flack white and compare the two, if I hold it up like this in front of the still life, I'm getting the same light on my paintbrush as I am with the still life. That is too light in value. So I'm going to darken it a little bit more with some of that yellow. This might make it too chromatic. Dang it, it did. So I'm going to take a little bit of yellow ochre, slightly darken the value down a little bit more. Oh, we're getting closer. Hot diggity. A little bit darker. And it doesn't go that orange, so I'm going to go just titch more blue. Holy cow. Look at that. That looks nice. All right. So just going to come in here. Fill in that shape plane. I'm going to go all the way to the edges. This is something that I guess Sargent taught, if he ever did teach, is, or at least people noticed. I read it somewhere in the world. Somebody said this. I'm going to attribute it to Sargent, even though he's not alive anymore. And that is, he would make the shape bigger than it actually was so that he has room to make softer edges when he's painting. This shadow value, I'll get to that in a little bit. I'm going to work on the light values that are over here. Some cad yellow, some yellow ochre. Hold it up. Looks pretty darn close to the mid value. So here we go. And you might look at this and go, wow, that is really dark. But it's all about relationships. And yes, it might look like it's really dark, but it is dark compared to the background value. And the background value is very light. So I need to darken everything else down. And when I get into those shadow values, I'll be able to describe that darkness a little bit better. I'm also going to take the same color and go around the rim here just a little bit, because there is some transparency that is described in the edge of the lemon. And when I get to these little details, I'll refine that a little bit more, but it gets higher chroma right towards that edge, and then it gets darker in value and lower in chroma as it goes back. Now, the interesting thing with yellow is that when it goes darker in value, it will change in terms of, where's my paintbrush? It will change in terms of value and color. Yellow doesn't like to stay yellow in darker values. So I'm going to bring this cad yellow down here, a little bit of transparent oxide yellow. But you'll notice that yellow tends to go more orange or more blue in darker values. So if I bring this up, that's close to the same value of the shadow. So I'll put it here. Maybe it needs to go a little bit darker. On the bottom part here, it's slightly lighter in value. So I'm going to put this down there at the bottom because I know the rest of this needs to go slightly darker, and it goes more greenish. So I'm taking some ultramarine blue, mixing it with that, maybe a little bit of Naples yellow. That is going to be too dark of a value. Some yellow ochre. There we go. Look at how close those values are. And I'm going to put it right there. And on the back side here. Part of me wants to play some music. I I don't like the silence. I like painting to music. I get into the groove. All right. Here I'm going to take some Naples yellow, a little bit of cad red yellow. Mix it here and place it right there. Ta-da! All right, and then we have this shadow shape in the ellipse here. And as I'm looking at this, the ellipse is, I'm seeing less of the ellipse in real life than I actually have described here. So I'm going to bring this up and compress that ellipse a little bit more. So go back to the light brush, get this light value. Let's shrink that a little bit more. Yes, that is so much closer. All right, now the color that is in here to me looks really gray. So I'm going to take this yellowish color and I'm going to go with some raw umber. And it looks to be slightly darker in value than this green. Let's go with some king blue. Let's try that out, see how that looks. Too dark in value. Might be a little bit too blue, but a little bit too much chroma never killed anyone. Ooh, it looks too green. All right, it's less green, especially down here. So let's take the complementary of green, add some red in there. Maybe that was too much red. A little bit more of that blue. There we go. That's starting to get more of that gray tone. Let's try that color. So it needs to have just a little bit more warmth. So transparent oxide yellow. Let's add some flak white just to lighten up that value just a little bit more. It's the nice thing about lead white is that you can lighten up the value by small increments and not huge adjustments. All right. That is reading better to me. Now I'm going to put in some of these darker values that are surrounding it. I have a paper towel that's just sitting on my lap, and I'm wiping off brushes as I'm working on that. Now these darker values, I'm going to go with raw umber, a little bit of that black oil, a little bit of the transparent oxide red. Whoa, that was way too much. The nice thing too is you don't have to paint these colors so accurately. You can have a little bit of fun with the colors and see what you can come up with to diversify the colors that you're seeing. The important part is the value, not really the color. And maybe I should do that and just kind of show you what I'm talking about. Just trying to simply place these things. I'm going to go a little bit bigger, like Sargent would say. Because I can always bring those back in. That will allow me to be able to simplify shapes too. Okay, in the background, I'm going to add more of a bluish tinge to it. Some more black oil. Got to thin it down a little bit more. because I don't want a lot of texture in that background. So I will go here. Using the fan brush, baby. And I'm not fanning the painting too much. It applies paint pretty good, the fan brush, and it makes it so that the paint doesn't go into the ferrule. The ferrule is that metal part that holds the hairs. If I want a more precise shape, I can just use the side of the brush, so like this, the side, to cut in shapes. And then when I want to fill in shapes, I can just use the flat side like that. And when it's starting to get scratchy like it currently is, just get more paint and more medium. But you can see that some of that warmth is coming through in the background. It's almost turning into a greenish tone, which is totally fine. But I'm going to get some more of that ultramarine blue. I can change the colors a little bit later, but I need to get more paint in that background. Some more black oil. Ooh, yeah, I'm kind of digging that. Let's scrub some stuff. I'll make things interesting, kind of like it's a little study of sorts. Makes it so artsy-fartsy, right? That is a technical term. I don't know why people don't use it more often. Artsy-fartsy is perfectly appropriate for any type of painting. Now I need to make the surface that the light shapes are sitting on. And it goes a little bit more gray here, so I'm going to take some of this raw umber. I'm running out of real estate. I usually don't use this small of a palette, but when I'm demonstrating, it makes it a lot easier to be able to view all the colors and how I'm mixing colors and where I'm mixing them. Notice also that I'm mixing these colors on a different and in different pools of paint. So I have the grays here, I have the background here, I have the shadow under the lemons here, and then I have the lemon colors here. I'm going to get rid of that, but I try to go lighter values, darker values, kind of sitting close to whatever color value I'm working on over there. A little bit more white. I need to pop it up a little bit. This Naples yellow, I think it's made by Utrecht. It has titanium white in it, so it has more tinting strength. And the other thing that I learned is you don't have to mix a lot with your colors. I mean, you can overmix, I think, whatever you're working on. And that value is pretty close to what's going on in that shadow. But I need to just separate those shapes just a little bit more. Scoop up the paint on the back here. Now, in terms of background, I talked about this in my other video, the other live video yesterday. And that is softening the edge between background and foreground. Also, I'm going to make it cooler in the background here versus the foreground, since I'm already back there and I already have my paint placed down here a little bit. I'm going to just clean up some of these edges. All right, since I'm here, I'm going to soften out that edge that goes between here, and I'm just going to use a soft fan brush, make my way up that shadow shape. Ta-da. I'm going to clean off the brush, do the same thing on this side. And lastly, over here. That way focus stays on the still life and not on anything else. So all right. Now I'm gonna make this area a little bit more brownish. I'm out of not Naples yellow. I'm gonna take just a little bit more, increase the chroma. That's a good lighter value. Maybe it's too yellow. I need something more brownish. There we go. But I didn't want something as gray as it was. All right. Now I'm going to soften out some of these edges because I'm okay with what's been going on. I'm just going to drag a dry brush across that. It'll soften out these edges a little bit more. If I really wanted to have some fun, I would throw a different color in those edges. And I don't know if I really want to have a lot of fun, but I don't know. This is kind of fun. Just soften it out. There we go. Soft, soft edges. Soft, happy shadows. Can a shadow even be happy? I'm not sure. Okay, going with this darker value. We're going to pop it there. And this comes under a little bit more. There we go. That needs to be better shape. There we go. All right, good lovin'. This is coming along. I know it doesn't look like much right now, which is totally fine. It doesn't have to look like the best painting in the world. I'm going to go and I'm going to get some, whatever paint color that is that I need to get. I can't remember the name right now for the love of me. Okay, I'm going to also get a drink and get that color. So I'm going to multitask. All right, got some yellow ochre and some perylene red because I was running out. All right, now that I am done with that, I am looking at this still life with a fresh eye, and there's just one thing that I need to refine, and that's the shape. So I'm going to take the background color, which is this blue, and chisel that shape down a little bit more. That needs to go slightly flatter there. But I'm not too concerned with it right now because I will come in and refine that shape with the rind of the lemon. All right. This will all come together towards the end, I hope. What if it doesn't? Then I have not succeeded as an artist, and I should probably quit being an artist. Right? Because that's what people do nowadays. They can't do something very well, they just quit. Not because it's enjoyable. I mean, who would do something because it's enjoyable? They do it because they're good at it. And if you're good at it, then you should just continue to do it. It has nothing to do with if you enjoy it. At least that's what a lot of my students say. They're like, I've been told that I'm good at this. Like, well, do you enjoy it? And their response is, not really. Like, then what the crap you doing? Well, I have nothing else to do, so all right. Well, enjoy not enjoying it, or majoring in art because somebody told you that you're good at it. And sometimes I will tell them that they're not very good at it. I don't think I've ever said that to anybody. But I say, if you don't enjoy it, then why on earth are you doing it? Probably shouldn't do it. Go pick a different major that you would enjoy. Maybe they just don't enjoy life. That's possible. All right. Now, I have forms that I need to get in there. And I think I want to jump in there and get this rind put in there. Rind or rind? Rind? Rind. Not sure. It looks to me like it's white. And, oh no, that got really dirty. Did I have a gray up there? That's no good. All right, let's try this again. Naples yellow. Flack white. Okay, that color looks better. And yes, I think that is it right there. All right, so now I need to get my hand up in here somewhere so that I can stabilize and get this paint. Just ringing around the rosy here. Look at this ellipse just a little bit differently because it flattens out down there. And then the rind gets thinner as it comes around this edge here, so. And it gets slightly darker in value. Now, the other thing too is I would want to paint this shape slightly different. So I'm going to have it come in just like I would if I were to paint teeth. This is exactly how I would paint teeth. I know that these are not teeth, but you want to paint the negative shape or else it's going to look funky if you paint every little part. So it divots down in a little bit and then comes out and then divots down in again and then comes out. So it has these little cell areas, and you want to paint the negative shape of those cell areas so that it doesn't look like you're outlining everything. So I'm just painting in these slight little divots. Give it a little bit more inconsistency. I mean, you can see that I'm shaking a good amount. I'm definitely not holding still. A lot of artists will tell me, oh, I shake too much, I can't do art. As soon as you put it down, it holds still pretty good. So put your hand down on the painting for a little bit. Okay, now edge quality needs to be harder on the inside and softer on the outside. So I'm gonna take some of this Naples yellow, a little bit more, Black white. And now I'm gonna just chisel in those shapes a little bit more. If I can get my hand around. All right, that's reading pretty good. Now there's a slight warmth that comes in right there. And I want to get that. So I'm going to go with cad yellow. Might be too much. But I'm going to go with that. Go with a slight warmth. I'm going to go from the edge, pull it down. From the edge, pull it in. It's just right there, just along the edge, because it's semi-transparent. Just beautiful little glow. Okay, and then over on this side, it gets slightly darker. So I'm gonna go back to this color that I have here. Go just a little bit. And come around here, pull it in. It's just so very, 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 very subtle. I mean, that's a lot of varies, but. All right, and then I have this little shadow shape that's being created from the cast of that texture. I want to get rid of that just a little bit. So, oh, too much. I wiggled too much. There we go. That reads a little bit better. Now, along the edge here, it really pops in chroma. So I'm going to go with just a straight cad yellow. Let's see if we can get this. All right. I know, I feel like if I talk while I'm doing this, I'm going to mess it up. All right. Sorry, just checking this out. Also going to take that same color and go around the edge here. Just soften it a little bit more. The other nice thing about lemons is even if you are inconsistent with your shape, your lips, it doesn't have to be totally perfect. But you can get away with a lot because it's an organic object. If it were a wheel or something, that's going to be totally different. All right, going to take this and go onto this lemon and do the same type of thing. It's just right at the edge here, and it gets a little bit darker as it goes around, so it's going to be mixing with some of those other colors. So again, lighter edge here. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to take some of this white. Ooh, that's a lot of white. Yeah, it's too white, but I might want to leave that there. I'm going to take some of this red, make it a higher chroma orange. That value is getting closer. Using the red to darken the value, but keep chroma higher. I am switching the hue a little bit because it's going more orange. And a little bit lighter in value. But it doesn't shift that orange. It needs to go more of a cad yellow. Okay, I'm just slowly turning that form. I need to push that up even more. So I'm running out of real estate. There we go. Higher chroma. Maybe a little bit too much. Clean off the brush a little bit. Go back to the cad yellow. Soften out these transitions just a little bit. There we go. Reads a little bit better. Maybe it's too light. So I need to turn the form more. If you ever need to turn form, change the value. So if I change the value and go to this darker value, that will help me turn the form more. So I'm going to come down here. Clean off my brush. Go a little bit more yellow ochre. Maybe I need to pick a different yellow, like a cad yellow medium or something. Cad yellow deep. All right. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same type of thing. Darken up this value a little bit more. Just slightly darker values that creeps into that light. Now you can see that it's starting to turn form a little bit more. I got to as light as I possibly could, and if I can't get lighter while keeping that chroma, I have to shift everything else darker, which is fine. There's more colors and more chroma to deal with when you shift things darker. So here's a little bit more chroma. And then I need to go slightly darker in value. All right, I'm going to shift this over just a little bit more. All right, before I go in too much darker with this, actually this is my dark brush. What am I doing? All right, going to go darker. I'm going to go with transparent oxide yellow, darker, a little bit more red because I want that orangey value to it. And come in here and let's see how dark that is. That's looking pretty good. Maybe a little bit too chromatic, especially on the video. But that chroma it looks to be that right chroma. So I'm going to come under here and do the same thing right there. And under there. And right over here. I'm also looking at this. There's a mirror that's right behind me. And I'm looking at it from a good distance. The mirror is about 8 feet away from me. And I can abstract the shapes, look at the shapes objectively, and determine if they are working or if they're not. Like this navel part shouldn't be that far off to the right. I need to get a core that is right in there, and that core, it's not that chromatic. So I'm going to just take some of this transparent oxide red. You don't want to go too dark. I'm just going to paint that core in right about there. So now it looks like this is reflected light and that is a core. But then I also need to turn that form just a little bit more. So I'm going to take that core and soften out this edge. I want to make more of a subtle transition in value. Maybe I should zoom in more on the piece that I'm painting. I don't want to go too warm here. Maybe I just went too warm. I just said I don't want to go too warm here. I think I actually want to cool that down a little bit more. So here I go with some king blue. Ooh, that might be too light in value. Let's see what happens. Right? It doesn't hurt to try something. Unless you do it wrong. Then it really hurts. And you know what? I'm really digging that. My feelings didn't get hurt. I tried something new. And I think it worked. I don't know how new it is. But I tried something slightly different. Okay, switching sides. Maybe I'm getting too detailed on this. There we go, softening that out. I don't even know if you can see the difference in the paint, but okay, now I have the rind that I'm gonna start to work on because I feel like the shapes are working pretty good. But before I actually do that, I'm going to take this lighter value brush, scoop that up there. Just kind of glance across it, make it more of a particulate, so it's not, I'm using the paint as a texture. All right, that seems to be reading okay. I'll reevaluate in a little bit, but I need to get that stuff. I know that this is the gray that I used there, so I'm going to go from this point, make it more blue, and slightly lighter in value. Let's try that out, see how it looks. It's very narrow on this side, so maybe too blue. Too blue. So let's go more Naples. Not Naples. We're going more gray, transparent oxide brown, a little bit more white. A little bit of blue never killed anyone. In a painting, I should specify that. That looks to be pretty good in terms of a value. Flatten out that shape a little bit more. Maybe you just lighten up the value just a little bit more. I don't want to make it too light that it's going to just pop off the canvas, but I want to make it lighter so it looks like light is just touching the rim of it. I'm not liking that shape too much. Okay, I will go in there and fix it. What I'm not liking about that shape is that it curves too much here and then it's flat too much on the back. So I need to take that and open it up a little bit more. And I'm going to take some of this transparent oxide brown, darken the value a little bit more and kind of push it. There we go. That's so much better. The other thing too is if you want to paint everything in details, like really hard-edged, detailed shapes, then you have to be very precise. You can get away with a lot more if you paint things with softer edges. Then it's a matter of editing things. That needs to go slightly warmer. Same thing with that. And that navel part needs to shift over even more. All right, I'll get there. Okay, it's a squirrel moment. It's bugging me. Shift, 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 shift. Okay. Then a little bit of a lighter value. And then we have, I'm cleaning my brush each time I'm doing this. We have this part coming back there and drop. Soften it out. Because when you soften things out, it makes it less interesting. So, anyways, thank you, benching graph. It's in the process. We'll get this figured out. All right, now back to the center of this. I'm going to find the center of this ellipse and that ellipse and put a little dot there, because that indicates the center of the Rhine. I'm going to paint little directional changes, keeping that same value, just so it looks like it's striations. Striations? No, not striations. So it looks like the what is it called? This Rhine, that's it, the Rhine. So it looks like the Rhine is coming in. All right, now I'm going to go back to this bottom part of the ellipse, and I'm going to soften out that part too. And it goes slightly lighter in value, but it goes more orange because light is just barely raking on that. So there we go. Soften that out a little bit. And then it goes slightly lighter, very, very close to that edge. So let's go right to that edge. Yes. And also on the top here. I'm going to get more of that Naples yellow and mix it in with it because I want to push it just a little bit more. This might be too much, but just a itty bit. And also on this bottom part, just a itty bit. Okay, I'm thinking I'm getting really close to finishing up this side at least. I'm gonna take, where's my dark value? There's my dark value. And open up this shape just a little bit more so that that Rhine shape can peak. Rhine value. And maybe at the end of this, I'm going to do some of the fun little glowy stuff. All right. So I've got like 90% of this done in terms of an Alla Prima. If I were to do this in multiple sittings, I would not be happy with what is going on right there. But I'm going to go in and start to refine the backside of this one. And it goes slightly greener, so I think it's this value or color that I was using. Scoop up a little bit. Hey, it was. Yay. And drop that shape down a little bit more. There we go. And then it gets more warm as that shadow bounces up into it. So once you understand how light works on certain things, it's pretty easy to construct this stuff. I'm just going to bring these shapes a little bit more over. It tends to get just slightly lighter in value there. And I want to push that form a little bit more to make it more interesting. So let's go with this value. I don't want to make it too thick, but maybe I need to. That's too chromatic. And what color does it go to? It pretty much goes to that color, but yeah, that's way too light. It's the right color, wrong value. Okay, let's try this out. That looks pretty darn close. I'm gonna scoop it up. Oh, scoop it up. Come on, Lang Nickel. Scoop, scoop, scoop. Maybe I'm playing with this too much, but as it gets right close to that rind, it goes a little bit lighter and more chromatic. So I'm going to try to get that light feel to it. Yeah, buddy. A little bit more. Maybe. Is that feeling good? I think it's feeling good. It's getting a good sense of light. Maybe I need to come in here and just trim that up a little bit. Trim the fat. Okay. And then I have some more rind type divisions in that lemon. I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm just going to come in and put in a couple of brush strokes. Not too much detail, and I don't want to go too white. These are just like little highlights that are coming in there. All right, and then I have the rind that's in the center. So center is right about there-ish. All right, if I had a second day and more time on this thing, I would make it freaking awesome. But I don't. Come on. Which is okay. I don't need to. I'm going to just work through this thing. All right, it's coming along. I need to soften out and harden some edges. So here I have a clean brush. I'm going to harden out that edge. Clean my brush again and soften out this edge at the top. Just a little bit more. There we go. Kill that corner just a little bit. Yes. All right. So that's starting to work. I want to put a little bit more of that rind on the backside. It's funny, every time I clean this Lang Nickel brush, I get more hairs that come out of it. I think this thing is going to be dead in a little bit. Maybe after this painting, I'll retire it. All right, and then I need to get just a little bit more push in some of these values. So the rind that's over here, I want it to go slightly lighter in value. Same thing with down here. That will allow for shapes to really define themselves better, because the ellipse needs to turn and I need to describe the turning of the ellipse. This shape needs to come down a little bit more. And if that shape, oh, I thought I cleaned it. I guess I didn't clean it good enough. All right, shows that the rind is just a little bit thicker in there. Okay, now I want to make it look, I want to finish off some things that are coming down here and then reevaluate. So I will go back to my fan brush so I can make some happy trees in the foreground. I'm just teasing, I'm not going to make happy trees. That'd be ridiculous. Maybe I should make some happy trees. All right. Went with some blue, some black white. Some more of this tan color. Let's check it out. It's a little bit darker, but I'll just add more white to it. Black white. There we go. Do some horizontal brush strokes and see what colors and values I can get out of it. The nice thing about using the fan brush for this purpose, I'm not making happy trees. That's number one. Number two is that it gives me more variation in paint quality. So I can scoop it up and plaster it on there. I can go back and forth. I can soften out edges. I can make it a little bit harder if I wanted to. Need to go with more yellow ochre, more white. It's too much yellow ochre. There we go. The other nice thing about not mixing this huge pool of color is you can vary your colors a little bit more. If you remix a pool, you get good little variations. You focus on the value that you're trying to get instead of just the same color. So as you can see back here, it's more gray. Here it gets a little bit more brown. And then here in the foreground, it gets even more brown. Don't know why I'm losing my voice. Okay, I'm kind of digging this little vignette type thing that's going on. I think I'll leave it that way. Soften out some of these things just a little bit more. All right, and then now I'm going to create a slight glowing effect, and I want to make this more interesting to look at. So, or maybe it's totally interesting to look at, and I don't need to change anything. I need to make the value a little bit lighter and closer to the edge there, so I'm going to take this cad yellow, add some black white, and put it just right there on that edge. That will turn the form just a little bit more because a hard edge says that there's a plane change. So the plane change is right there. Let's scoop it up. No, I need to scoop it up even more. There we go. Yes, now that edge reads a lot better. So now we're going to go into this side, and I'm going to do the same thing with some of these yellowish areas that are right next to the Rhine. Clean off the brush. More of the yellow. More of the flack white. And I'm just going to come in on these edges. I'm going to make more deliberate strokes because I need more energy in it. I need more energy in the painting. And if I'm just being cautious, I'm not going to get good energy. Some of these broken shapes and broken lines are really going to help out with the painting. So yeah, I'm kind of digging that broken shape there. And there. All right. I still do not like that part in the thing. Why didn't somebody say something, for Pete's sake? Maybe that was too much. I don't know. I'm going to clean off my brush and take this darker value. Okay, and then I'm going to go underneath that and put in a better shadow shape. That needs to come down just a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right, that's the other nice thing about a fan brush is you can get all these fun little details. So here I'm going to take up some of this, and I'm using the very edge of it. Very, very, very edge. Kind of like I'm using a very small paintbrush. Gosh, why that still does not, it's because it doesn't line up, for the love of Pete. Line it up, McGarren. Get that drawing correct. Okay, here I go. Scoop, paint. Okay, I think I'm seeing what's going on here. This needs to be a little bit more rounded so that that will line up, and that needs to jet up a little bit more. I think I need to get a new paper towel as I'm cleaning my brushes. Oh, wrong color. I want to go more with this one. Okay, that's feeling a little bit better. Now the darker value. Chisel down. Chisel over. And then I want to soften out this edge a little bit more to Ta-da. There we go. I like that a lot more. Okay, now to make the rind a little bit more interesting on this one, I'm going to come in here, grab this, and just kind of kill some of those edges. There we go. All right, now I'm going to go into the glowing effect. So I want to make things look like they are glowing, and if the light is coming this direction, I want to enhance these colors, and then this, I'm going to get more fall off with color. So I don't know, what color should I use? Maybe I should do ooh, okay, I'll do more of a reddish glow here and more of a blue glow back there. Key to getting the glows in, glowing look, it creates a sense of light. And you just pick a value between the background and the foreground, kind of like this red, and you go in between the two and you just paint it on there. Okay, that red is too dark of a red, so I need to add a little bit of white to it. That's making it more opaque, which is good, but too light. I don't want it pink. There we go. That's still kind of pinkish, but more paint. I always feel like I get a lot of paint on there and then I realize I don't. All right, let's try this from the bottom side. Clean off the brush. Scoop up some more. Clean off the brush. Go with a slightly darker value. I'm going to go further out from there. I'll start to mix with that other value in the background. Soften out that edge just a little bit more. So now it creates a more of a sense of light coming into it. It's a little bit lighter in value there. Okay, so that's the red side. And now let's go with the blue side. On the back of it, go with ultramarine blue. I'm running out of real estate. Add a little bit of white to it. That was way too much white. I'm out of real estate. Okay, I'm going to mix this down. Oh, that'll be fine. Okay. Is that too much? Is that too much? I don't think so. So from a distance, I'm looking at it, and I don't think it's too much, but maybe. Here, let's give it some more. I can always go back if I mess it up. What? Look at that blue. And then when I mix it in with this red, it's going to make a good violet transition. Painting a happy tree in the background with the fan brush. So happy. The happy tree. I need to make that red bigger. So here I have more red. more red. Then soften out that transition just a little bit more. That's feeling okay. All right, I was talking to my wife. I was talking to something. It was my wife yesterday. And she said, McGarren, you just need to paint things that will make people have a good feeling with the painting. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So I need to paint like some guy that is saving a woman from dying on train tracks or something. I have these friends that were at the St. George Art Festival a little while ago, and they bought some paintings, and they were really bad paintings. I mean, really bad. I mean, looking at it from a professional artist standpoint, the composition was bad, the colors were bad. I have no idea why on earth they even spent their money on it, but it's not my money, it's theirs. And sure enough, they bought it because they liked the way that it made them feel. And part of me wanted to say, so if it's painted really bad, it makes you feel good about yourself? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I go, I don't know how good it's painted, but I like how it makes me feel. Well, that's amazing. And maybe that's what we do, is we spend our money on things that make us feel good. There was a woman years ago that bought one of my nude paintings from me, and I asked her why. I was like, hey, why did you end up buying that painting? And she said, because I love the way that it makes me feel. And I'm like, but it's not a painting of you. And she's all, yeah, but it made me feel beautiful. I was like, oh, okay, sounds good. It makes somebody feel beautiful, so that's maybe a good thing. Even though it's not a painting of them. And then I also hear people talking about not necessarily that all things have to be beautiful, but they will look at a painting and really like what's going on in the painting and end up buying it just because they like the content. So I'm not sure what people spend their money on, but I would not buy half the stuff my wife would want to buy in terms of art. And she has said to me, we have this fun little debate every once in a while. She's like, why did you paint that? Who's going to buy that? I'm like, I don't know, but somebody will. And sure enough, somebody does. But I don't know who's going to buy everything. One of the examples that I give is my brick paintings. I've done lots of brick paintings, and I've sold almost every single brick painting. I think there's 2 that I still have. One that's titled Cancerous Brick, and there was a show back east that I sent it out to, and that painting has won so many awards. I've gotten thousands of dollars in awards just from that one brick painting. And maybe I should be painting bricks instead of fruit, but I'm really enjoying fruit. And I really like fruit. Fruit tastes good. I have a lot of fruit trees in my backyard, and so I want to do a painting of each of them. I don't have a lemon tree, so, that's fine. Maybe I need to give a glowing effect here. Maybe that red and blue is just too much. No, I look at it from a distance, and it reads pretty good. So I will leave the red and the blue. Maybe I'll make the blue a little more subdued. Fan brush. Soft, soften it out. Easy, easy, easy. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So anyways, I need to create energy off of this one. There you go. Energy. That's what sells paintings. Energy. But I've done all these brick paintings, and I wonder, do people buy the brick paintings because it makes them feel good? And if so, why does a brick painting make some people feel good and other people not good? But I don't know. We're all different human beings, aren't we? Okay, now I'm going to make this color. What should I do with this color? Maybe I'll make that a blue also. I'll go a little bit darker so it's not so distracting. A little bit darker. But this cancerous brick one, this place back east said, it was a museum. And they said we could have sold this painting, I don't know, 10 times over, because it's a beautiful painting, but people don't like the title. Would you be willing to change the title? And I'm all, no, that's the name of the painting. That's what I want. I want it to be cancerous brick. It had this black spot on the brick. It's hard to talk and paint at the same time. That's why I'm trying to do it, because I don't know if you can even see that, but it's looking pretty good. But I refuse to change the name of cancerous brick. And so where is it now? It's in my office at the university. So I have it there. I don't think it's anything totally special, but it has really won a lot of awards. All right, I'm going to soften out the edge here. Go more of a orange. Create a different edge quality there, so it's a little bit softer. Now I have some soft edges, some hard edges, some variation and interest. I'm going to bring that shadow up just a little bit more. The other thing too that I think is interesting is the light in my studio has changed in the past hour and a half, however long I've been painting. And it throws me off, because I'm like, oh yeah, those values are great. And then I'm like, why didn't I make those lighter? But the reality is, if you're working on these paintings, you make them too light in value, then you run into some problems, because you lose the chroma and you lose the value just looks weird. And then if you make them too dark, then you have to use a lot of light to be able to see what's going on with it. So I think I'm going to take that red here, and I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe somebody will look at this painting and be going like, oh my gosh, I love how that makes me feel, and buy it. Which would be great. If you want to buy this painting, you totally can. I'm going to post it on my website. I'm starting a new page that is a store, so you could buy them at the store if you wanted to. And I think I'm just going to price these paintings for like a couple $100, just because they're fun to learn with, and they're good little studies, and it's something I love to paint, so why not try to sell these paintings for a couple $100? But anyways, if you're wanting to buy it, that's where you can go to buy these paintings. And I think I'm going to call it a day now with this painting. Maybe. See, part of me is like, no, I'll work on it for another 10 hours. And another part of me is all, no, I think that it's good enough. Don't overwork it. So I'm not going to overwork it. I'm going to use my fan brush and see if I can sign with my fan brush. That'll be a fun thing. I will also get back on here in a couple of hours and work on another painting, I think. Maybe. No, I need more black oil. It needs to be really wet when I'm signing. Oh, wow, that makes it very interesting. Looking mark. A, C. No, more paint. K. I need to figure out why I'm shaking so much. Hot diggity. All right. There you have it. I think I'm calling it a day, hour and a half working on this painting. That's not too bad. And talking my way through it. Maybe I need to talk less and paint more. Let me zoom in really quick so that you can see the painting in its more finished state. Okay, that's it. How do you know a painting is finished? It's when you say it's done. That's how you know a painting is finished. And so I'm just going to call this one done. If you're interested in buying it, you're welcome to go to my website. I should have it posted up this next week for sale, and some other pieces that will be on there, some drawings and other paintings. But anyways, thank you for visiting and watching the demonstration, and I hope you have an excellent day.